When I start shooting, all y'all gonna clear out.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to take a look at a Season 3 crash out. This comes from AyoRichie, one of the best players on the planet. The best Leo on the planet. At the Tekken World Tour Finals, I believe it was, he wiped out basically all of the Americans single-handed. Very good player, well respected. Let's listen to his Season 3 crash out.
What's going on YouTube? It's AyoRichie here and I'm back with another video. We got no music, we're just out here in front of the camera. It's time to talk about Season 3. Just finished a 9-hour stream and my sanity levels are very much intact for sure. I'm doing great, doing amazing. I basically did not progress on the rank bar at all.
One thing I do want to say, AyoRichie plays Leo. Leo is one of the strongest characters in the game. We'll figure out soon enough whether or not she's #1. You know, you have characters like Nina, Victor, who's also in the runs. Even though he plays a character that's diabolical as Leo, he is not at all a supporter of it. Right? And that's why I really respect him as well, is because he doesn't like when his character is super broken. The people who want their characters to be broken and unchallenged drive me insane. Because why, bro? The purpose of a fighting game is to prove you have skill and to prove that you know what you're doing, to prove that you have talent. So if you just buff your character to where the opponent cannot stop you, it defeats the purpose. If you're running a race against someone and you tell the other person they have to walk, meanwhile you can sprint, what's the purpose of the race? I don't get why when people like say, oh, my character isn't strong enough, I need my character to be stronger. The purpose is to prove you have something. This is why I argue Yoshimitsu should be trash. So when I destroy people, they know it was me who did it. They don't think like, oh, that's just Season 3. Oh, that's just Nakatsu. Oh, that's just Michael Murray. No, they know I destroyed them. That's what I want. It's so weird that no one else does.
It's rough out here, man. It's rough in these streets. But anyways, Season 3. When you first see your character, depending on what character you play, you know, you see the new stuff, you see the changes, whatever. You're kind of like, cool, maybe we can rework a new game plan. But when you play for a long period of time, many hours and stuff, and you get comfortable with the new stuff, you realize that like you're just playing Season 2. Nothing has changed. But you know what has changed? Other characters have changed. And I'm not going to get into the specifics, but other characters have changed. Of course your character has changed, but it's not significant. So it doesn't, there's not a different feel. And obviously some other characters are going to be, they're going to be the same, you know? They're going to be in the same boat.
This is the thing that I highlighted as well. With Yoshimitsu, it feels like practically nothing has changed. And this is why I call this update boring, because for other characters, a lot has changed. For other characters, their new moves is useful. For other characters, you know, maybe their combos don't work anymore. Maybe their setups don't work. Maybe they have new setups. But for my character, nothing has changed. Like even nerfs, like where's the nerfs that we asked for? So when I'm playing Season 3, it feels very boring. And this is why one of my primary complaints about Season 3 is that it's boring and we need some kind of content to fill in the gap. Where's the content? Where's the game modes? Where's the, you know, things to do in the Tekken Lounge? Where's that stuff?
But I don't know what's happening, but inputs do not exist. All you get now is misinputs. For some reason, I'm playing more players, but the connections are worse. So who cares? Why not? Bruv, we wanted death matches.
Okay, before we move on to a different point, the misinput thing, this is something that I noticed about Yoshimitsu early on, is that when you dash up at someone's face and you try to do a down forward 1 poke, you sometimes get 4 down forward 1. And it's because they loosened the windows of these these inputs. But before, like if you go back and play Tekken 7 and you do strings in that game, you have to press the button really fast in order to get those strings to work, in comparison to Tekken 8, where you could be a little bit more lazy in how quickly you press the buttons. And I think that lazy input thing, the input window, they increase the input window, and that allows for you to get a lot more misinputs, because when you try to dash and poke, now you're getting a forward, down forward 2, or you're getting a forward this, blah, blah, blah. That's what I don't know if that's what he's referring to, but that's something that I noticed about the game very early on for sure.
So that we could have a competitive environment, you know, maybe learn matchups a bit better rather than just play someone in the first 2 and then they run away. You never see them again. You know, we didn't really want that. But I'm playing people with dead connections. My inputs are getting eaten and I have to hold the L live on stream. on multiple platforms. I just thought I'd throw that out there, that Twitch and YouTube at the same time.
Yeah, you guys go watch AyoRichie on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, multiple platforms. Yes, sir.
I've got to take the L. Inputs munched. I'm looking like one scrub, taking L's across the board, just constantly losing.
It is weird that they said they don't want to put death matches in a game because a death match is basically being able to rematch the same person over and over and over again in ranked. At one point in time, I was a supporter in that idea, and that probably was the wrong decision to make. Because if we were quick to act against some of these things, probably could have made change. But I eventually learned that that's not the proper way the game should be. But the reason why they did that in the first place is because they didn't want people to boost. But the question that I ask is how much of that was going on in the past, and also how much of that is going on now? People can't boost through that method, but there's other methods that people still abuse to get to the top of the leaderboards. So you didn't stop the problem of boosting, but at the same time, you took out this very important part of the game that players love.
And it's just it's not the vibe. I've come out of season 2, felt like I figured out some cool stuff, I felt like I was really playing well. And then this new season's come, and I just can't even move around the screen effectively. Getting clipped here, there, and everywhere. Can't sidestep. The cameraman's just doing judge. The cameraman is just doing judge. 180s. Just spinning around. Can't get my heat dash. I don't even know what I'm playing anymore.
You know why the camera moves around so much is because the developers increased the tracking of these strings so that they would connect. Because how everyone's been talking about, oh, my string doesn't work. The second hit, the third hit, the fourth hit, they made it like stick. And as a result, the camera is trying to follow these characters who are now heat-seeking missiles and strings, and that's the outcome.
I don't even know what I am playing anymore. Like, I got a tournament coming up. I got invited out for a tournament, but Lord have mercy. Outside of my local, I don't know how I can keep on. How? Like, online, I'll play in front of my audience. I will try and showcase what Leo can do, because that's what I've been doing for like the last 4 years, maybe 5 years. And that's obviously, that's what I do. That's a big part of my brand, what my brand is. I play Leo. Of course, I can play some other characters, but that's not what the wide majority are here for. Obviously, there is a big portion that watch my stream for me, but it's going to be me on Tekken rather than me doing other things. So that's whatever. But man, this experience is so taxing. And we're at the start of a new season. Obviously, there's going to be changes, and I've been a bit... I ain't been hopeful, that's a lie. But there's going to be changes, but it's already too late. It just is. It just is. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. It is too late. Obviously, some of us are still playing the game. Listen, that does not mean that we love the game. Some of us do this as a job. Like, we have to keep, the money rolling. Otherwise, we're cooked,
That's the thing about, like, pro players. Pro players are in this very weird spot where they're known for being the best in the world. The best is, the best at. And it's like, that's what people come to them for, is the best gameplay you can ever imagine. And when they switch to a different game or something and their skill level drops dramatically, people aren't used to seeing that. People aren't used to... Let's just use AyoRichie as an example, right? Let's say if he switched to Call of Duty and he's just getting wiped across the mat over and over. People aren't used to seeing that. So it's much harder for pro players to quit and do something else, especially when they're like streaming and they're content creating, but people aren't used to seeing them not be the best. That's it's a crazy thing that Tekken 8 forced upon everyone. People are finding ways to create new content, whether that be for a different game, whether that be changing the content they make for Tekken 8. It's a dire situation, and the developers forced it upon their whole entire player base. It's not really fair.
Obviously, there's life outside of streaming, there's life outside of Tekken. Cool. I'm not saying there isn't. And obviously I could pursue that, but like, you gotta understand, I've been doing this for 5 years, so I have to, at least for the time being, I have to like lock in and just kind of see what happens with the game, and then obviously adapt to the changes that come along the way, and this, that, and the third. And obviously, if I wanted to like really sell out, I could do some other like streamer stuff and sponsor quests or whatever. Like, I could do all the extra stuff, but I like to play the game. Obviously, I get annoyed, whatever, and then the chat responds how they do, react how they do, and You know, we have that kind of banter, and yeah, man, that it's been like this for years. It's been like this for years. So it's not as easy as just up and leaving and just saying fuck Tekken. It's not that simple. It's definitely not that simple. Yeah.
The tragedy of this, AyoRichie's a great player, right? One of the best on the planet. That's been proven, right? And you have statements like this from the developers where they specifically attack his fun, his enjoyment. In a good way, Tekken 8 allows players to defeat higher ranked players with powerful moves. But younger players and those who's currently playing, it boosts their motivation. It's a good system. And then they say they can overthrow high ranked opponents. Overthrow. They are taking the fun away from AyoRichie and people of his caliber, and they're trying to give that to the younger players who don't really understand that that's happening. They're just having fun winning and mashing buttons and hitting people and doing stuff, and they don't really understand that the developers are doing that at a cost of everyone else who's higher rank. This just doesn't apply to AyoRichie, but they want anyone who's lower rank to beat someone who's higher rank. This applies to everyone who's better than someone else. You can see why players are upset because they are under attack by the developers.